Hi ladies, this video we're going to go through 5E matrix multiplication. Remember in the previous video, if you watched it on scalar multiplication, I said this is more complex. So it's extremely important that you understand what is actually happening here. Don't just feel confident or comfortable with being able to do it on your calculator, because obviously everything is easier to do on the calculator. You actually need to understand how the multiplication process works. I have started here so you can identify this the video by the page that is on your booklet, but I am just going to now go to your textbook, because I think the textbook actually explains, and I'm going to just go to this part here, the rules for matrix multiplication. So colour, I think, is extremely important, and I know how much you girls love to colour in the front pages of your booklets. So this is where you should be thinking, all right, what is important here? And I think your booklet doesn't really highlight these important parts. So matrix multiplication. Okay, when you're I'm just reading this box here. So for matrix multiplication to be defined, so that just means for you to be able to do it, because you can't multiply every matrix. Not every matrix can be multiplied by another matrix. The column in the first matrix, so shown by this n, must be of the same order as the row, or have the same number of rows as the second matrix. So when you can see here it's written as m times n and n times p. When you're writing the order of your matrix, this column, okay, so the number of columns has to be the same as the number of rows in your second matrix. So number of columns in your first matrix must be the same as your number of rows in your second matrix. And when we do some examples in a sec, I'll show you the easiest way to do that. So you can see here we've got just a 2 by 2 matrix and a 2 by 1 matrix. The number of columns in the first matrix is 2. The number of rows in the second matrix is also 2. Therefore, you can multiply them. If they weren't the same, they can't be multiplied. Okay, so we'll do a few examples so you can see that working. All right. The other important thing is the order of your product matrix. So that just means how many rows and how many columns your product matrix is. So once you've done your multiplication, you get a matrix, which is your product matrix, or your answer. How many rows and how many columns does it have? So if you've got an m times n and an n times p matrix, it's just the number of rows from your first matrix and the number of columns from your second matrix. So the order of your matrix is going to be m times p. And that's extremely important to know, because often you will get questions. And again, I'm talking about Year 12. We have to understand the orders. Okay, so first of all, whether you can multiply two matrices, but also what your answer is going to look like. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand the order of your answer. Okay, so since we're here, let's just have a look at the methods of matrix multiplication. So let me just read this. I haven't done this before. Some people like to think of the matrix multiplication of A times B using a run and dive description. The run and dive, oh, I see what it means. Okay, so this run and dive means we're going across and then down. Okay, so we run across and then we go down. So run along the first row of A and dive down the first column of B. Okay, and then repeat, excuse me, repeat running along the first row of A and diving down the next column of B. Okay, so we go across and down. So that is a good way to remember it, because the confusing part can come from, well, do I do the rows first or the columns? So if you're running and then going down, run, then dive down. Okay, so let's have a look at the textbook's examples, okay, because I could create a video, but the textbook is going to probably do them a bit better. So I'm just going to expand this one here. Okay, so we've got matrix A, matrix B, and matrix C, and matrix D. Okay, so 4 matrices. First of all, decide whether the matrix multiplication in each question is defined. So that means, can we do it? And if it is defined, give the order of the matrix and then do the matrix multiplication. Okay, so I'm going to just make this smaller and get up this, and there's my working out from before, so let's just delete all that. Okay, so I got all my matrices up. Now with your matrices, let's just write the order of them. So matrix A, matrix B, matrix C, and matrix D. Remember, when you do your orders, you do the number of rows first. So matrix A has 3 rows, 1, 2, 3. So it's a 3 times and 2 columns. So it's a 3 times 2 matrix. Matrix B, 2 rows, 1 column. C is 1 row, 3 columns. And D is 3 rows, 1 column. Okay, so let's have a look at which ones we can do. And I might just write that over here so we can keep the orders on the screen. So this one we're doing AB. So I'm going to write the order of A first. So it's a 3 times 2. And matrix B is a 2 times 1. Now, this is the easiest way to do it, girls. Just draw a circle going around the end of first matrix and the start of the second one. So if they're the same, yes, it's defined. Okay, so in this case, they are defined. And then remember your product matrix, and let's do that in a different color, is just the number of rows from your first and the number of columns from your second. So your answer is going to be a 3 times 1 matrix. Okay, so it is defined because the number of columns in the first matrix is the same as the number of rows in the second matrix, sorry. So that's defined. And then we've got, so since it's defined, let's put its order. So 3 times 1 matrix. Okay, so let's do question B. B is BA. Okay, so in normal mathematics, we can say, well, 5 times 2 is the same as 2 times 5. In matrices, A times B is not necessarily the same as B times A. So let's write the orders down. So B is a 2 times 1, and A is a 3 times 2. So I'll get my red pen, circle those 2 digits. Are they the same? Boom, boom. It's not defined. Okay, so if it's not defined, we can't multiply it. So I can't say what the order of the answer matrix is going to be because you're not going to get an answer. And if you did it on your calculator, it will probably tell you something like not defined. I'm not too sure. But it won't work for you. All right, CD. So C is a 1 times 3 and D is a 3 times 1. So again, grab your red pen. They are the same. So it's defined, and I'm sorry for squishing it in here. And what do we want? Purple again. Okay, so your answer matrix is going to be a 1 times 1 matrix. Okay, so that's the order of your answer. Okay, so there's the answer then. Oh, did it actually do it? Okay. Oh, and then we have to do it. Oh, listen to me getting away from, oh, since I'm working out, sorry, done here. Let's have a look at question A. Gosh, I wasn't really paying attention. I was just seeing if it could be done. All right, so let's just have a look. I'll make that bigger, show you what how to do the matrix multiplication. So this is what it means by running and diving. So we go across the first row, 5 times 2 times 8. Sorry, 5 times 8, 2 times 9. Okay, so we're putting that in the first element. And then we go to the second row, first column. So then we've got 4 times 8 times 6 times 9. And then lastly, 1 times 3 times 8 times 9. So each row we go across, down, down, across, down, and you can see the working out on the right hand side of that equal sign. So when you have your answer matrix, or the order of your answer matrix, remember we said it was a 3 times 1, so there it is. Okay, so that's how it turns out to be a 3 times 1. Now BA we couldn't do, so let's have a look at CD. Okay, so we're going, this one is just a row matrix and a column matrix, so it's across, down. Okay, so 2 times 8, 4 times 6, 7 times 5. So girls, it's extremely important that you put this process into your bound reference. Okay, and then you can see the answer, order of your answer matrix is just a single number, single element, because it's a 1 times 1 matrix. All right, so it's only one example from there. So let's go back to your booklet. Okay, and you can do matrix multiplication on your calculator quite easily, a lot easier than what you can by hand. Okay, so make sure you know how to do that. Oops, make it smaller. That's why I couldn't scroll you over. Okay. Scroll, scroll, scroll. All right, so here we have 2 matrices, A and B. Now, before you start doing any multiplication, you're probably going to save yourself time by just working out whether you can actually do it. Now, I can see they're both 2 by 2. So we've got a 2 by 2 and a 2 by 2. Just circle these 2 numbers. They're the same. Yep, so it's defined. And it's always a good idea to think about what your answer matrix is going to look like. So our answer matrix is also going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so I'm going to just write them down. 1, 7, 4, 8. And we're multiplying that by B, which is 5, 6, 3, 2. Okay, so let's get some more space. Oh, I'm just going to get another page. All right, so remember the running and the diving that they were saying? So we're going to do 1 times 5 plus 7 times 3. Okay, so that's what goes in that element there. Remember, we're going to have a 2 by 2 matrix to finish. So if you want to do it as you go along, you can. So 1 times 5 is 5. 7 times 3 is 21. So 5 plus 21 is 26. Okay, so this element here, 1. So now we're doing, excuse me, the next column. So 1 times 6 plus 7 times 2. Okay, so 1 times 6 is 6, 7 times 2 is 14. So add them together, it's going to give you 20. And then we move on to the second row. So second row, first column, second row, second column. So 4 times 5 plus 8 times 3. So 4 times 5 is 20. 8 times 3 is 24. So we're going to have 44 there. And then the last element, 4 times 6 plus 8 times 2. So 4 times 6 is 24. And then 8 times 2 is 16. So we're going to have 40. All right, and you can check your answer on your calculator if you like, but you need to understand how to do that multiplication. All right, let's just scroll. Okay, so here, what I said before, this just means A times B isn't always going to be equal to B times A. Okay, so here we've got another set of matrices. Oops, I need a page. Give me a sec. Okay, so matrix A is a 2 by 2 and matrix B is a 2 times 1. So just a good habit to get into. Is it defined? Yes, it's defined. And the product is going to be a 2 by 1 matrix. Okay, so our answer is going to be 2 by 1. So 2 rows, 1 column. So if you made a mistake, you can see where you went wrong. Okay, so let's just write the matrices down. 2, 4, 6, 7, and then 5, 3. And it's going to be a 2 by 1 matrix. All right, so 2 times 5 plus 4 times 3, and then 6 times 5 plus 7 times 3. All right, so 2 times 5 is 10, 4 times 3 is 12, so we're going to have 22. And then 6 times 5 is 30, 7 times 3 is 21, so we have 51. And you can just check, is it a 2 by 1 matrix? 2 rows, 1 column, awesome. So assuming that my multiplication is right, we're all good. Okay, and then question 4. Maybe have a go at doing question 4 on your own before watching the video, but up to you. Okay, so matrix A is a 2 by 3, and matrix B is a 3 by 2. So I can see that we can do it, but let's just double check, circle them. It's defined, and our answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay, so I'm going to give myself enough space to do everything. Oh, I didn't write them down. It's all right. We don't need to write them down. 1 times 6. Okay, so remember we go across, down. So first row, first column. So 1 times 6 plus 8 times 4 plus 3 times 6. And you can write your answer as we go. What do we need? 2 by 2. And I'm going to need more space here. 1 times 6 is 6. 8 times 4, what's that, 32? So 38. And then 18, 56. Okay, I was just making sure I did that right. I might just erase that. So I've got a bit more space. Okay, so now it's first row, second column. So 1 times 0, 8 times 7, and then 3 times 1. So 1 times 0 is 0, 8 times 7, 56, and then 3 is 59. All right, I'm going to do the working out. I'm going to pause and do the working out just so the video is not too long, but you can then check your answer. All right, and there is the answer. So it's probably a good thing I paused because I actually made a mistake when I was doing this one. That's why I think it's extremely important to rewrite the matrices, because I was looking here and then going across and I made an error. But hopefully that's the right answer. Okay, so let's just have a look at the questions you need to do. Can I scroll you over? There we go. All right, so in 5E, questions 1 to 9. Bye, girls.